Everyone, so today we're just going to have a quick look at animating our logo and getting some renders of that animation. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, your colors and lighting may vary. So let's get into it. So I'm back in Blender here, and I've got my logo, which I brought in as a SVG. You can check out the earlier video for that one. And I've hit my 1 key and then my 7, I hit my 1 key and then my 5 key actually, and that has put me into front view. I'm going to go tab, or I can change into edit mode down here, whichever way you like to go. I use tab, it's nice and easy. And I'm just going to box select, so hit B and select, say, around the top bit of type, which I'm going to select out. And now I'm just going to go select, and I'm looking for the linked. Here we are, select linked. Okay, so they're all joined together, so that's good. And I can just hit my P for separate selection. It's the easiest hotkey. So that's got the top bit. Okay, now I'm just going to select, oops, just going to do a, oops, I'll just undo that. So we're just going back out into object mode, deselecting and then reselecting again. I hit tab again, and I'm just going to box select the 216, and then I'm just going to go select linked again. And I haven't got the one there, I might just box select around a bit of that as well. Select linked, okay, that's good. P for separate selection. That's good. And if I go out now, so I've got these as separate components so that I can work with them. And then I can set up the colors. So I'm working in cycles. And as part of that, see that if I go into my materials, I've got my materials set up, and I've used nodes to mix those materials up. And nodes is the best way to work. We'll have a look at that in coming videos, but you can have an experiment with it for now just by adding different colors to these and mixing them up. One thing you just have to watch out for, if a color has got a number beside it, like this one's got a 4, it means that 4 materials use that one shader. So if you change one of those, all 4 of the objects will change the color. So yeah, just be aware that sometimes you change one color and it'll change everything. If you need to break those links, you just click on the number and it'll make the material what we call a single user. Okay. Alright, so let's get out and have a look here. So I've got my text in my world, and I'm going to hit my 5 key to turn perspective back on again. And I've got basically a bit of a scene here with the ground. I've set a texture up, and I've set some basic textures on my text as well. So I've got some extra bits here, and I can see a render here using cycles of what my world looks like, and I can see from above what my text looks like as well. So I'm using the 7 key there. Okay, so first thing that we want to do on this scene is I've added in a sky, but I want to add in a camera now. So I can just Shift A and I can add a camera, but what I might do is just check where it's going to be. So you can click to change this cursor, so I'll make sure the cursor is sitting out, and I'll just get the cursor sitting sort of 5, I'll get it sitting kind of low. Okay, so that's good. And now I'll just go add my camera. It's right in front of me there. Okay, so we've added in the camera, and let's have a look at what the camera is seeing. So through this window, I can mouse over it and hit 0, and the cursor's where the camera is. So let's just rotate the camera up. The camera's looking at the ground at the moment, so let's just rotate this, and let's have a look at our camera. So let's start to rotate up. Okay, that's good. So as I rotate the camera to look at our scene, you can see now that I can see it in this window here. That's good. Okay, and I'll roll out. So this bright section is what the camera is currently seeing. Now, once we've got the camera selected, we can come over and change the focal lens length. So I'm just going to change that to about 20 to give us a slightly wider frame of view. And I can start to adjust my camera so it's got my logo centered in the shot. Okay, so if you've got it kind of sitting low, you'll have a fairly dramatic shot. If you've got it having it look from high and looking down, it'll make the logo look kind of smaller. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's all looking okay as far as lighting goes at the moment. I could add in an extra sun or spotlight to that if I wanted to, but let's not worry too much at the moment. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, now that I'm happy with where my camera is that I'm going to set my cursor fairly close to the center of this scene. And I've got select set on my left mouse button, which makes a lot more sense than Blender's default right. You can change that in preferences, and I certainly recommend that. So what I'm going to add here is I'm going to add a curve, and I'm going to add a circle. So it's added into the center of my scene, and I'm just going to scale it up a bit. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Just going to move my windows around, zoom in a bit, and kind of center this. Turn off perspective so that it's about centered on my logo. Okay, so this circle is going to provide the handle for our for what we want to rotate the camera around. So let's grab the camera first, hold down Shift, select this second. Okay, and Blender's got a really handy feature. If you're not sure where something is, you can always hit the space bar. And let's type in parent. Okay, so we want to make parent. That's good. So click on that, parent to object. Okay, that's good. We can see there's a little line from the camera to that circle now. And what it means is that when I now rotate the circle, okay, we can see that the camera comes around with it, and we can see in the window with cycles in it that of what's happening here as I rotate around. Okay, so that's nice and easy. Okay, so we want to keyframe this circle now. So let's bring up in the bottom here a timeline. That's good. And let's bring the timeline back to 0. 0. And the endpoint I've set at 75 frames. So that's about 3 seconds that we're going to deal with. So first thing I'm going to do is go insert, and I'm going to select rotation. So we're going to rotate our object. Now I'm going to move forward to frame 74. Okay, and I'm going to rotate my object. So I'm going to click on the cube here. You can see it's lit up these rotations in green, which means that they're ready for rotating. And I'm just going to hit R. Rotate around. I can see which one of these columns is changing. That's good. And I'll change it to 359 degrees. And hit return. Okay, so it's almost back to 0, but not quite. There's 1 degree left. And then I'm going to insert a rotation. Okay, so I've done those two things. So what happens now when I rewind and hit play? Okay, we can see the camera rotates around the object and then it stops. Now, in this default setup with the graph editor, it speeds up and then slows down. So it speeds up from 0 and then it slows down again. So that gives you a nice smooth action, which is good. If you wanted it to repeat over and over without it speeding up and slowing down, but just as a constant rate, what we can do is we can go to the graph editor. So let's just have a look at that now. And the graph editor shows us our options here, and F curve, and it's just a little tricky to find. Okay, and I've just got to key in here, interpolation mode. Okay, so that's what we're after, and we're going to change this to linear. So when we change it to linear, and we'll just pull this down again, and we'll make this window a bit bigger, and I'll change this back to our timeline. When I hit play now, we'll see that the camera doesn't speed up and slow down, it just moves at a constant rate and keeps rotating around. So that's pretty easy. So next thing that we need to do is set up where we're going to render to. So you come across to the camera, click on the camera, Okay, so let's check. We've got our screen size here. I've got it set at 1920 by 1080, so that's pretty big. Start frame 1, end frame 75, so that's all good. Aspect ratio we don't need to touch, but the output you do need to set. So you click on the folder, click on where you want it to go to, and give it a name. Name here, okay, and we go accept. Okay, so we've told it where we want it to save to. We need to select what type of file we want. In this case, it's going to be animation, so we want one of the movie ones. Okay, H.264 works well. You can try MPEG, QuickTime, XVID. It's up to you. I'm going to use H.264. And encoding, we won't worry too much. Sampling, it's worth turning our render up. So I've got my render turned up from 10 is the default, but I'm going to turn it up to about 50. Okay, so that'll be 50 cycles of improvement as it goes along. And apart from that, we don't need to worry too much at the moment. Okay, well, everything else is pretty right. There's lots of extras that we can get into, but that is basically set up, ready to go. So when I'm ready to go, it's going to take a while to render. Might take half an hour or so. So I'm going to go render animation, and it'll start rendering that animation and save it to my desktop where I set. Okay, so I'll leave it to go, and once it's all done, just like we looked at before, you'll end up with something like this. So I've just set it to loop in QuickTime, so you can see it spins around, you know, forever. So it's a good thing that you could generate a file like an avatar and put it on a website, and it's a bit of fun because it's just like looks like a live 3D view that's forever rotating. So that's it for that shoot. Have some fun with that one, and yeah, good luck getting your logo up and happening.